Schaefer is absent. Commissioner Allen?
Here.
Commissioner Klicka is absent. Commissioner Osterhaus?
Here.
Commissioner Ashcraft?
Here.
Commissioner Brown?
Here.
And Chairman Eilert.
Here. Would the clerk please read the proposed consent agenda items?
Item number 1, consider approving May 17, 2018 business session minutes. Item number 2, consider appointing Dave Myers as the 5th District Representative to the Housing and Community Development Advisory Committee through March 31, 2021. Item number 3, consider ratifying the appointment of Fabian Shepard as the Chairman's Representative to the Mental Health Center Advisory Board through February 5, 2021. Item number 4, consider ratifying the appointments of Kevin Clam and Joanne Cable as the Chairman's representatives to the Reach Community Advisory Committee through May 31st, 2021. Item number 5, consider reappointing Brandy Butcher as the 4th District Representative to the Library Board through April 30th, 2022. And item number 6, consider authorizing an exception to competition and approving a service agreement renewal for psychosocial rehabilitation and crisis intervention services with Foster Adopt Connect in an amount not to exceed $425,000 for the contract period ending June 30th, 2019 per Administrative Policy and Procedure number 110.180.A.16.
Tanner, any comments you'd like to make in regards to item number 6?
Tanner Fortney, Mental Health. I'll be very brief. You've seen this renewal, I know, several times over the past few years. The services, again, psychosocial rehab and crisis intervention. Generally speaking, nothing's really changed of any substance since the last renewal. We have exhausted all of our previous renewal options, so this is a new contract. But with that, I'll be happy to answer any questions you have.
Okay, questions? Mr. Ashcraft.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Fortney, could you talk a little bit about the exemption to competition provisions? Are there just no other services available or no other services of interest for this? I know it's a specialized care, but if you could elaborate a little bit on that, I would appreciate it.
Sure. Yes, that is correct. This is the only provider in the Kansas City area. I believe they're actually on the Missouri side, but they do provide the services in Johnson County. And there have been no one else that is capable of providing this type of service. Now, as I've mentioned to you before with other exception to competitions that we've brought forward, if this is approved today, if we have another provider down the road that comes to the area, we would have no problem contracting with them. This is not a mutually exclusive contract, providing, of course, that they were able to meet the service quality standards that we would expect.
Very good. A follow-on, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Tanner, have we considered or weighed the cost and benefits of maybe identifying and hiring our own staff to perform these services, and why is this a better option than trying to develop that resource in-house?
Yes, we have. As a matter of fact, before we had this contract, which started in 2015 initially, we did provide some limited, I guess maybe you could say kind of a stopgap service for those that were in true crisis, but we did not have the specialized staffing in place that were fully trained to be able to provide the full scope of these services. We did consider at one time whether or not it would be feasible to look at developing our own service group like what we have here, but it would be very cost prohibitive for us to do that because of the specialized nature, all of the additional clinical staff, as well as a lot of the support staff that would be needed. As of right now, it's still much more efficient. And since the rates have really not changed since 2015 that the service provider has charged us, we're actually retaining 12% of the total Medicaid billing fee off the top, so that helps to cover our current administrative costs. So it's really some net positive revenue for us at this time. That wouldn't be the case if we provided it ourselves.
Very good. Thank you.
Any other questions? All right. Well, the consent agenda will continue as proposed. Next item on the action agenda, number 7.
Conduct a public hearing to receive and hear comments from the public regarding governance of Johnson County Fire District Number 2.
governance. Mr. Thompson.
Good morning, Chairman and Commissioners. Maury Thompson, Acting Deputy County Manager. As the clerk just indicated, this is to conduct a public hearing regarding governance of Johnson County Fire District Number 2. You have previously heard me talk about the executive summary that's been before this body a couple of times at least, so I'm not going to go through that today unless there are specific questions. However, I did want to bring to your attention, as a reminder, the notice of this public hearing that has been provided. It was published in the Olathe News on May 26, and prior to that in the Kansas City Star, the 913 section, on Wednesday, May 23rd. As a reminder to this body and anyone listening, our obligation is to publish it in the newspaper of record, which is the Olathe News. However, this body opted to go beyond that and again publish in the Star 913. And then additionally, and maybe more importantly, there was a mailing sent to every address in the district as well. That mailing was sent out on Friday, May 18th. So with that, I would stand for questions.
Questions at this time, Mr. Allen?
Just one quick comment. I was approached by actually a resident in Shawnee that owned property in the fire district and had a couple of questions, so I do know the notices are out.
Very good.
Mr. Ashcraft.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Thompson, thank you for the comment regarding the mailing, because all due respect to the Olathe News and the 913 section, I'm not sure how deep the market penetration really is on what could significantly be a change for their operation. Have you received any feedback, good, bad, or indifferent on this subject? And you don't have to go into the detail, but I'm hoping that you're getting some feedback.
I can go into the detail because there's not a lot. We have had 2 responses, one in writing and one via telephone, and I would characterize both as neutral.
Okay. And so how many mailings, I mean, are we talking hundreds or thousands?
Susan Meyer is flashing me a number back there.
6,000.
6,000.
6,000, okay. 6,000 households or parcels or no, okay, thank you.
Okay. Well, this is a public hearing, so it will remain on action.
Thank you.
Next item.
Item number 8, resolution number 033-18. Consider a request from DBL Architecture, Dana Blay, applicant, and Tom and Anita Rodenbush, landowners, for a conditional use permit to allow an oversized accessory building located at 5816 West 163rd Terrace in Section 17, Township 14, Range 25, Johnson County, application number SECU-3389OX.
Good morning,
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, members of the Commission, Jay Leipzig, Planning Development Codes. This item brought before you for a conditional use permit for an oversized accessory building was before the zoning board, the Southeast Consolidated Zoning Board, on May 2nd. It was unanimously approved by that body. Staff is recommending approval of this item as well. And it's an additional 1,584 square foot structure. And the map there shows the aerial as well as a concept plan of the building.
Questions? All right, this comes to us with approval, both staff and zoning?
That is correct, sir.
Okay, thank you. Next item. It is a planning item, will remain on action.
Item number 9, resolution number 036-18. Consider a request from Guy Taylor, applicant, and Linda K. Guston, revocable trust, landowner, for an accessory dwelling unit permit, ADU, for construction of an approximately 3,200 square foot livable area, ADU, located at 21044 Flum Road on 40 acres on property zone RUR, Rural District in Section 16, Township 15, Range 24, application number SE-ADUP-3388AU.
Jay.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Jay Leipzig. This item is similar to the last one, is accessory dwelling unit, approximately 3,200 square feet. On 40 acres, it was presented before the Southeast Consolidated Zoning Board on May 2nd. It was unanimously approved by that board. Staff is also recommending approval of this item. And the accessory dwelling unit is 3,200 square foot, but it accompanies a 9,000 square foot structure that's also on the same parcel.
It's very nice. Do you have a picture of that?
I do, as a matter of
very
fact.
nice.
Yes, there's the main structure. So
This is the main structure, and there will be a 3,000 square foot accessory facility. Okay. And as I recall, is that a residence?
This is a resident, yes.
The accessory.
Yeah, it has to be maintained as some kind of a dwelling unit. Yes.
Okay. All right, questions? All right, thank you. Again, this is planning, will remain on action. Next item.
Item number 10, resolution number 030-18 and resolution number 031-18. Consider request from David Knopkick, applicant, and Bethany Lutheran Church landowner for preliminary and final plat for 2 lots on 80 acres, conditional use permit for the church, and conditional use permit for a preschool Mother's Day Out operation in the church on property zoned RUR, Rural District in Section 9, Township 15, Range 25, application numbers SE-PP-FP-3381 and SE-CU-3382 and SE-CU-3383AU.
Jay.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Jay Leipzig. There are 3 items included in this application. A preliminary and final plat for 2 lots on 80 acres, the conditional use permit for the church, and the conditional use permit for the preschool. The preschool and the church operations are the same, but basically what they're doing is carving out the 10 acres for the church out of the total 80 acres of the parcel. And that aerial shows that. I might point out that we looked at, in accordance with our new kind of the subcommittee work that we've been doing, we've been looking at connectivity for future roadways and ensuring that the parcel future development would be connected. And so we want to ensure that that complies with good planning in the future. But this item was presented for the Southeast Consolidated Zoning Board on May 2nd, 2018. Staff recommended approval, and it was also unanimously approved by the zoning board as well.
Okay, questions? Mr. Allen.
Jane, I think you may have addressed it somewhat in your comments, just the setback on the buildings. If the road was widened in the future back there, is there appropriate setback?
Yes, they have. There's a no-build, we call it a no-build zone that's noted on the plat that accounts for the setback for the future roadway connections.
Thank you.
Okay. No further questions? Again, a planning item will remain on action. Next item.
Item number 11, consider a request from Dan Knight, applicant, and Marvin Calvin Dunn, landowner, for final development plan plat for 5 residential lots, Blue River Estates, on 19 acres zoned PRU 1A, planned residential urban single-family 1A district located in Section 15, Township 14, and Range 25. Application number SE-FDP-3390 OX at 15980 Kenneth Road.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. This item is for a 5-lot subdivision. You may recall it was presented to you, I believe, sometime in March. The final development plan is consistent with the preliminary development plan that was presented to you previously. It was presented before the Southeast Consolidated Zoning Board on May 2nd, 2018. That board unanimously approved the item, and then staff is also recommending approval of this item as well.
But again, this is a final plat and not the zoning activity.
That is correct.
So, but again, planning item will remain on action. Next item.
Item number 12, resolution number 038-18. Consider granting an exemption from the provisions of KSA 41-719C to allow for the sale and consumption of alcoholic liquor and cereal malt beverages at the Johnson County Executive Airport located at 151st Street and Flum in Olathe, Kansas, and New Century Air Center, 1 New Century Parkway, New Century, Kansas.
Aaron.
Thank you, Chairman Eilert and Commissioners. Aaron Otter from the County Manager's Office. This is an administrative change. Currently under state statute, if alcohol is to be consumed or sold on a county-owned property, a resolution has to come before the Board of County Commissioners granting that exception every single time that happens. And what we've seen take place at the airports, where the county continues to own all that land, even though some of the buildings are leased privately or owned privately, it's still county-owned land. What we're starting to see is more and more requests for having alcohol on site by the private tenants come forward. There's one tenant, for example, that's starting to do a new annual event with the Olathe Chamber, holding it at one of their facilities where it's a county-owned land and a county-owned building that they lease. So what this would do is kind of follow the model that has been created and seems to be working for Johnson County Parks and Rec, where as opposed to bringing a resolution each and every time that somebody would like to make and have alcohol on site on county property, it would delegate that responsibility to the Airport Commission to conduct that as an administrative function, similar to what's been done for JCPRD. The Airport Commission's talked about it at their last meeting on May 23rd and supports moving forward with this concept. I think it will help if this is adopted, to be able to communicate this to the tenants, both at both airports, FBOs and private tenants, business tenants, so that I think, frankly, we'll know more and be named at insurance. I think it will help overall kind of this transparency of this new process put into place, bringing people into alignment with our required insurance.
You mentioned Parks Department. Don't we have similar policy in place for the library also? Yeah. No. This makes sense. So it would come to it would have to be considered by the Airport Commission.
It would go to a staff review where we will put together, the Airport Commission will adopt rules and regs, and they've adopted a temporary set at their last meeting pending your action, so they're in place. The applicant would come forward and fill out time, place, date, details, and then also it would have our insurance requirement on there so that we could be named as a co-insurance on their event. Okay. And it would be an administrative function at that point.
Okay. Consent?
Consent's good with me.
All right.
Thank you.
Will be noted. On the consent agenda, next item.
Item number 13, RFP number 2018-007. Consider authorizing a term and supply contract with Global Tel Link for inmate telephone services at no cost to the county for an initial 12-month contract period with the option to renew for 4 additional 12-month renewal periods.
Ms. Friedel.
Hi, I'm Leslie Friedel, the Chief Financial Officer for the Sheriff's Office, and this is a term and supply. What we do for the inmates is we contract with a vendor to provide those services. This helps keep us in compliance with the ACA, the American Correction Association standards. The inmates are provided this limited access. The vendor that we select provides all the equipment. They and we also have the ability to record all non-attorney calls for investigative purposes if we need to do that. We went through an extensive review process, lots and lots of pages to read, interviewed all 5 respondents. And so it was a very thorough process, and we feel like this vendor, Global Tel Link, rose to the top in terms of their project approach, their staffing, their commitment to provide the product that the sheriff wants and the customer service that the sheriff desires for the inmates at an affordable price for the inmate's family.
Okay, questions? Mr. Ashcraft.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Friedel, I was noticing that Firm A's cost proposal actually ranked higher than the recommended firm. Can you elaborate on why there was a difference there?
The way the revenue comes into the sheriff is this combination of the price per minute and a commission rate. The ratings were based on the commission rate. They actually offered a higher commission rate, but the overall package and everything else, following the RFP process and the process that we like to do, where we focus on what we're getting as a product, the top vendor was Global Tel. We always have the ability to go back and negotiate with the vendor, and so if we try, and we can try and work and get a price component that works for the sheriff's satisfaction, okay, if the vendor is willing to negotiate with us.
And the price component, those funds, I mean, the vendor gets their cut, and the
And they send us a monthly commission check, and it's based on our percentage.
Okay.
The current
And-
percentage is 59.1% with our current provider.
Those commission, that commission money goes into the general fund?
It goes into the general fund, and so it would help offset general operations related to the sheriff. I mean, obviously, there's plenty of cost associated with running the detention centers. This brings in about $400,000 a year. So this is just a small piece of what supports those
Maybe
operations.
before next week, I could visit with you or whoever and learn a little bit more about the use of those funds.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Action or consent?
Consent's good to me.
All right. We'll remain on action. Are there any other items? All right.
No,
if
sir.
not- Excuse me?
No, sir.
Okay. We are adjourned from our agenda review, so have a nice weekend. And Old Shawnee Days Parade is Saturday.
New location now.
New location because of the construction on Neiman, so, yeah. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.